A star is missing, a legacy interred. Friends, family, and fans baffled by a strange photo bearing a striking resemblance to the famous Spyro the Dragon, who's been missing since 2009. Could this be the little purple dragon all grown up? Or is this evidence of an even greater riddle? Who knows, perhaps you could help solve a gaming mystery. In the spring of 1997, a young dragon by the name of Spyro was approached by fledgling video game developer Insomniac Games with the hopes that he would star in their newest title about a young dragon who saves his entire race from eternal imprisonment. After hearing them out, Spyro accepted and immediately began work on what would become his breakthrough performance, the titular Spyro the Dragon for the Sony PlayStation.
Spyro was ecstatic. He always wanted to star in his own video game, and Insomniac seemed like the perfect fit. They were kind and very talented. It seemed like a match made in Cloud Spire, so none of us were really all that concerned. In fact, we were really happy for him, and I even got to be in the second and third game.
Spyro the Dragon, both the game and its star, went on to become overnight sensations, and very quickly a pair of sequels were greenlit. Within the span of 5 short years, Spyro the Dragon went from artisanal obscurity to one of gaming's biggest stars.
Oh, he was going to all the major gaming parties, started hanging out with big shots like Crash Bandicoot and Mario, and even the big man himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. And this was before the incident in 06 when Sonic was still on top. But through all of that, Spyro never changed. He was still the sweet and thoughtful dragon he always was. Fame didn't change him. Spyro was all about the art, man. Sure, the fame and fortune was great, and he loved every bit of it, but at the end of the day, he just wanted to make some great games. That's something I always respected about him, you know?
Indeed, it seemed as though nothing could quell the charmed life of Spyro the Dragon, and that the good times would continue into the foreseeable future. But all good things must come to an end, and Spyro would experience firsthand just how far he had to fall. Shortly after the release of Spyro Year of the Dragon, Insomniac announced that they would no longer continue work on Spyro series, instead focusing their efforts on an up-and-coming duo by the names of Ratchet and Clank, leaving Spyro and his new publisher, Vivendi Universal Interactive, without a developer for their next game.
Looking back, it's obvious that things took a sharp turn for the worse after Insomniac left, and I even remember warning Spyro that not all video game developers were as kind as they had been. Just be careful, I said, but Spyro was just so passionate about bringing his fans another smash hit that I don't think he could see that.
Years went by and Spyro would continue to work on the games he loved oh so much, but with each new game came a new developer, and it seemed as though Spyro and his ever-growing team of co-stars could never quite recapture the passion of their earlier work.
The games we did on the GBA were pretty good, but then there was Enter the Dragonfly. Oof, that was hard on all of us. At the end of the day, the magic was just gone. Most of us just kept doing it for the paycheck, but not Spyro. He just kept saying, "Come on, guys, I know that things are rough, but we could still get this thing back on track and make a great game if we give it our all." Poor bastard. It was a nice sentiment, but no one except him and Sparx actually gave a shit, you know? We were 7 games in and we were all just sort of sick of it.
Spyro the plucky purple dragon continued to star in game after game after game after game after each receiving poor to mixed reviews from both fans and critics, with financial drops soon to follow. However, he continued to give it his all, even when everyone else around him was only in it for the money. Yet all the determination in the world could not prepare him for the catastrophe that was to follow. Spyro was growing up.
Dragon puberty hit Spyro like a 15-ton sledgehammer to the Mushroom Speedway, if you know what I mean. At first it was just a little weight here and there, and a few small growth spurts, but then the voice changes kicked in and yikes.
Wow, 1,000,000 brain cells? That seems excessively destructive.
I think Vivendi Universal knew they had a problem on their hands after A Hero's Tale and Shadow Legacy finished production.
Spyro walked in one day and said, "Hello," and I was all like, "Ah!" Poor kid sounded like a Rhinoc with 15 colds and a bad case of popcorn lung. And I knew it wouldn't be too long before the suits would consider dubbing over his lines, which of course they did.
For the Legend of Spyro series, it was decided that all of Spyro's lines would be dubbed over by the voice of Lord of the Rings star Elijah Wood, while Sparx, his best friend both in real life and in-game, would be recast entirely with David Spade on account of their close physical resemblance.
I could tell he took the dubbing pretty hard, but he was such a professional, you know? He just kept it all to himself and gave it his all anyway. But I think deep down he knew his days were numbered.
Spyro's final game was the Legend of Spyro, Dawn of the Dragon, which featured Spyro and his co-star Cinder as an older, more wizened duo on a quest to stop an ancient evil. This young adult adventure game served as the finale in a trilogy the cast and developers had been crafting over the course of nearly 4 years, but it also served as a market test for the viability of a game led by an adult Spyro the Dragon.
Dawn of the Dragon's a cult hit now, sure, but at the time, the sales just weren't good enough to prove to the suits that Spyro was still as marketable as he once was. And of course, the buyout didn't help either.
In July of 2008, as work on Dawn of the Dragon was wrapping up, Vivendi Universal Games was acquired in the merger deal between Activision and Blizzard Entertainment. Almost immediately, the newly formed Activision Blizzard hired developer Toys for Bob to begin work on a new adventure for Spyro with a younger demographic in mind. But Spyro himself would not return.
They recast him, man. Older dragons just aren't as marketable as the young ones, so as soon as Activision Blizzard got their grubby hands on the Spyro license, they cut him out and hired a younger purple dragon to take his place.
What should we do today? We could go swimming, we could go to the lava pits, oh, we could go fishing. That's kind of weird though, since you're a fish.
Spyro was crushed. For 10 years, he put his heart and soul into those games, and suddenly an evil corporation comes in and says, "All your hard work belongs to us now?" How would you feel?
I don't really see what the big deal was. I mean, I was recast with my cousin Hunter back in A Hero's Tale. Sit on my ass while someone else does all the work, and I get to rake in fat royalty checks for the use of my likeness? What's not to love?
Spyro may have left the series a very rich dragon, but it was clear he wasn't happy with the way that things had turned out. In less than a year after his unceremonious departure, Spyro and his best friend Sparx disappeared, leaving no hints as to where they may have gone.
We stayed in contact for a while afterwards, and looking back, it was obvious that something was up. He kept asking, what was it all for? And I never knew what to say. Then one day he said goodbye, and that was the last I ever saw of him.
Years went by, and none of Spyro's family or friends or former co-stars heard anything except rumors of his whereabouts. However, a new layer to this mystery soon showed itself in the form of a mysterious picture of an adult purple dragon that bore a striking resemblance to Spyro. Could this photo be of Spyro fully grown and in self-imposed exile? Many of Spyro's fans seem to think so.
That is most definitely Spyro all grown up. I mean, just look at his tail, and what about his wings and his nostril protrusion? Thingies, yeah, that is Spyro.
Still others have their doubts.
That dragon right there rocking the, awesome dad bod is not Spyro. It's obviously his father. But I mean, if it is Spyro, call me.
I can say for a fact that that's not Spyro's father. Dragons don't even have parents. Well, they come from eggs, of course. I'm not following you. Oh yeah, that's definitely Spyro. I'd recognize that ugly mug anywhere. Look, he's even wearing the medal that the Insomniac guys gave him after they finished up Year of the Dragon. I think he was really proud of that one.
Could this in fact be a picture of Spyro all grown up, or could this be a photo of his long-lost father, as some have claimed, or another dragon entirely? There seemed to be a lot of conjecture, but very few concrete leads. The trail had gone completely cold until Gaming Mysteries received a message from an individual who claims to have been in contact with Spyro after his disappearance. Perhaps this person, who we wishes to remain anonymous, can shed some light on the situation.
Oh yes, I knew Spyro from back in the good old days, though I didn't see him for many years until one day I just stumbled upon him in this old rundown bar in downtown Dreamweavers, and he looked just like that photo right there. We hung out a few times after that, did a lot of crystal with that guy, a lot of crystal. I mean, what else is there to do in the Dragon Realms? The stuff's just lying all over the place.
Oh, so when you say crystal, you mean the gems.
Of course! Spyro gave me tons of the stuff over the years. I would have went bankrupt without him.
What'd you buy with all those gems?
Mostly methamphetamine.
With leads running short and reliable sources of information seemingly non-existent, Gaming Mysteries brought this evidence to longtime collaborator and friend of the show, Noah Lee, to hopefully shed some light on the situation.
It's actually a pretty interesting little mystery. First of all, this isn't Spyro as an adult, or at least not a real photo of him as an adult. This image is actually from the back of the Spyro 1 manual, which of course Spyro was still a kid at the time that this was printed, so this is either just some concept art of what Spyro might look like as an adult, or a different character entirely. And in fact, if you go to the archived version of the old US PlayStation website, you can even find some old promotional materials from the Dragon News Network prior to Spyro 1's release, and part of this featured a column from an individual by the name of Papa Dragon. Unfortunately, none of the images are still present on this website, but many fans claim that they distinctly remember this image right here appearing next to the column, with many more claiming that they also remember seeing interviews with former Insomniac employees mentioning that this Papa Dragon was a character that was cut early in development, though whether or not this was supposed to be Spyro's father is still up in the air, and unless someone finds these old interviews or can revive the images on this archived website, we'll probably never know for sure.
Recently, interest in the Spyro the Dragon series has been revived, with the original trilogy of Spyro games being completely remade with a new cast for both fans old and new. Spyro is now played by yet another purple dragon, albeit one that more closely resembles Spyro in his younger days, and it seems as if the world has finally accepted that the original Spyro is gone for good.
Spyro was such a good friend growing up, and we had such a passion for his work. I just hope that wherever he is, he knows that he's loved and that the world hasn't forgotten him, even if the corporate shills have.
He was such a good kid. A little slow, perhaps, but... Oh god, I just miss him so much. It was fun while it lasted, you know? We had our creative differences, but I always liked the guy. I just hope he's found whatever he's looking for, and is still receiving those fat royalty checks each month. Wishing you the best, dude.
They stole his legacy from him, and I don't think he ever got over it. Spyro was always so nice to me when we were working on set together, and he always encouraged me to do my best, even when things were tough. I just hope you're happy, Spyro, wherever you are.
We may never truly know what happened to Spyro the Dragon. Perhaps he and his close friend Sparx have found a place to call home. Perhaps one day he will return. Whatever the case may be, Spyro may be gone, but his legacy lives on for a new generation of gamers. And until concrete evidence is found, the mystery surrounding the image in the back of Spyro 1's manual will continue to generate rumors and conjecture for years to come. I'm Robot Heap, and this has been Gaming Mysteries. Update. While filming this episode of Gaming Mysteries, we received an anonymous letter with a single picture inside. The picture was of another adult purple dragon, as well as an elderly dragonfly. Could this be a real photo of Spyro and Sparx all grown up? Was it Spyro himself or someone close to him that had sent the letter? The only clue we have to go on is the brief message on the back of the photo that reads, "We're in Dragon Shores, you idiots. Come say hi sometime. Signed Spyro and Sparx." Indeed, we will probably never know the whereabouts or reason behind Spyro the Dragon's disappearance.